like Zoom changed. I can't share the screen.
Oh, are you serious?
It's grayed out for some reason.
Whoa, that's weird. It says multiple participants can share simultaneously.
Oh wait, sorry. Okay, it something changed in the screen.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Phew. Okay, let me know when you can see it.
Okay, I can see it now.
All right, so these are the all of the campaigns that are running right now, and with their corresponding cost per result. The only things which haven't really gotten a purchase from are these last two, but the rest seem to be well within the KPI. I'm not touching on, just letting them do their thing, and this is lifetime.
Okay.
So, I mean, is it fair to say, like, just continue to let everything run?
Yeah. It just looks like it's optimizing. Are these all the same audience, or are there different audiences?
They're different audiences. Yeah, one is the big. Actually, sorry, maybe I should kill this one, right? Because $140 I spent and it hasn't had a single purchase.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like it's performing.
All right, so let me kill this one.
Yeah, because it's probably been already more than 3 days, right? Like, how much are you running per ad set?
This one I think I'm doing $20, and this has been going for a while. This has been definitely going for more than 3 days.
Yeah.
All right, so let me kill this one, and then the one above it, it looks like that one also is above the KPI.
Ham radio. Is that basically like a duplicate, like $20 and has run for 3 days, like 2 for 6, like 65? Is it on this fourth day kind of thing, or?
It's a duplicate of this guy, except I was sending them to the 2-step order form. Remember, I was saying like it has a much better conversion rate. So it's a duplicate of that. Although this one has pretty much stopped performing as well. So this is where I get so frustrated because why does it stop?
Yeah, it starts performing and then it kind of goes down, and then sometimes it kind of goes back up. Sometimes it's weird when you duplicate certain ad sets, it kind of like revives it again, and then Facebook gives you like some good conversions for like a day or two and then it dies again. So yeah, I mean, that's why one of the strategies, the one that my buddy calls the rabbit scaling or whatever, was kind of to try to minimize as much as possible the inconsistencies, because when you duplicate so many ad sets, then you start seeing especially with different bids, you start seeing how Facebook just starts choosing some over others. And sometimes having a volume of different ad sets, instead of running 2 or 3 or 4, running like 15, 20, 25 ad sets at a time, and then just seeing how it's a lot easier to identify patterns is what I'm saying, because you have just more, for Facebook to do its thing.
That's very true.
But yeah, I mean, there's definitely, a lot of things that we can try, but I think that just even banging that Facebook funnel that we're gonna dive into today, I think that will really help just move people through the process, and raise an audience like in the meantime as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that on the front end of this thing, it's converting pretty well considering it's totally cold traffic. But once we get the funnel in place, I think over time that will really be a game changer.
Yeah, because right now you're like straight up doing like sales. You're focusing like sales, right? And so like when we bring the branding aspect of it, and now you have like both the goodwill and the tutorials and branding content, but you also got the conversion ads, sending them to the sales page. So having both of those like in as much balance as possible is what usually ends up putting you over the hump.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, so now let's just dive in. I'm actually just going to turn this one off because
turn that off. Yeah, turn that off.
Probably this one.
Yeah, probably that one too. Yeah, turn that off. Scroll up a bit. Let me just take a quick look.
Let me just turn this one off.
How many different audiences do you have going right now?
I would say it's my techie avatar, my ham radio avatar, and I was testing out computer engineering and electronic engineering. So really 3.
So far, the techie is the best one, right?
Um,
Or is ham radio like pretty sweet too?
yeah, those two pretty much perform. Yeah, like here's Techie,
Mm-hmm.
and that's 12 purchases, but
Yeah.
then I scaled it so it's 11 purchases, and then so actually I have quite a bit of Techie running.
Mm. What's your cost on that first one up there that says ATC test at the cart? Have you break down if you can put the column of okay, that yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, the purchases and how much are you paying per purchase?
Yeah, so what is that? 170 divided by 4, $42. So it's still within the KPI,
Yeah, still within. Okay.
but it's it's creeping up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that 25 one, the second one. Um, yeah, with the 12 purchases.
Yeah.
Why do you think that one's pretty almost like half? The cost of some of the other ones. Like, why is it that that one's like converting the best? Because I think that's the best so far.
Let me take a look. That's a good question. It always helps to have somebody else to like.
Oh, totally. Just even like question it, like kind of dive with you, because sometimes we're so much in our heads.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so this is a small budget actually,
Interesting.
which makes no sense to me. Oh wait, this one's desktop. I turned this one off. So it's the mobile, which has been performing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, what's interesting is that this is literally the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
just cloned. If we look back up at the higher level, Techie Avatar. Here's Techie Avatar with a large budget. It's like double.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Because you know what? I think maybe you might be better off going like that whole rabbit scale thing that I was saying like just a second ago. Because if it's performing well for some reason with like $20, like the budget that you put, and I think we talked about this before, the budget that you put per ad set also does affect the way it optimizes. So it is different if you say 200 a day or if you say 20 a day. Sometimes Facebook just optimizes it differently. So even just turning off the other one so you have enough obviously budget and duplicating the one that's performing really well, like 4, 5, 7, 10 times, like whatever you can afford, of course. And then just letting them run. Because I mean, if you can scale that way too, that's totally cool. Just by like duplicating your highest performing one, and then maybe even doing some tweaks of placement or creative or whatever else.
That's a great idea. So actually, right. So then let me just make sure I understand this from a technical aspect. If I go into here and then just at this level duplicate this 10 times.
Exactly. Yeah. Literally put there. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
And then kill the other one, right?
Yeah, exactly. And they kill the other one because, again, like manual bid is the best once you have like enough data for Facebook to always find you that average. But because right now we're still like ramping up, right? We're still trying to get to our, enough maturity for the pixel. Then you still get a lot of inconsistency. So when you find something interesting like this, that you're like, oh, look, 58, 41, 42, 25. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's literally the same audience. It's literally the same ad. The only thing difference is the budget. Then it's like, okay, let's try duplicating with that small budget and see what happens.
Okay, I'm gonna do that because that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Open the
sorry.
Yeah. Open that audience again, like the yeah, and go into the actual audience.
By the way, I'm going to tell you a little secret. Are you ready?
Tell me a little secret.
And this is between you, me, and the computers.
Okay.
So I'm pretty technical. I think you can see that.
Yes.
And I have a lot of friends who are also very technical. And we're developing a way to be able to accept PayPal with ClickFunnels.
Oof,
and we are really close, my friend.
Wow, that's amazing, bro. That'd be a game changer because, yeah, it definitely increases conversions, but it's such a crappy process. So fixing that would be like heaven, man.
So, I mean, if would you mind being a beta tester?
Of course, I would love to. Yeah.
All right, awesome. Because we're close. We're really, really.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Good job.
Okay, so here it is.
How big is that audience? Like, what's the seed size?
All right, let me turn this. See, I'm afraid to do that though, honestly, because the last time that I did this, it ended up saving it, and then it changed everything.
Are you serious? Yeah. So then, okay,
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was almost. It was either 800 or 1. I think it's 1.6.
Okay, cool. And you're right now only running into the States, right?
Only the States. Yeah.
Do you have capacity or shipping and all that to other countries, or are you just wanting to get enough data first on the States before you start playing with other countries?
Yeah, I mean, I can, and I mean, I have customers all over the world, but I really just wanted to dial in this funnel.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then because I can't do the shipping thing, so that becomes a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to like just get this working, and then I will just I'll dump my bank account at it and get it running.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. No, sounds good. I mean, I think that's what I would do. Just duplicate this one. Obviously, this one is your best performing audience. So, just let's dive deeper with this audience with just different variations from budget to maybe placement to maybe creative. Like you can start now playing, but I think this is your best performing audience. So, curious to see what would happen with just duplicating the best performing one 10 times.
Wait, do you want me to just, purely duplicate and post, or do you want me to duplicate and change stuff?
I think first, just duplicate. That's
Okay.
it. Just a straight up duplicate and just see what happens in 3 days. Because I would be very curious to see, out of the 10 ad sets, like did all 10 perform? Did 5 perform? Did 1 perform only? Like, what would be the breakdown of that? I would love if maybe 2 didn't work for some weird reason, but all the other ones are like giving you the consistent $20, $25 purchases, but across the like all the ad sets, so that would be
okay.
Cool. Okay.
All right. So then I guess let's dive into
let's do it.
Yeah. So by the way, one of the other avatars is people who are into model trains.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
This is interesting. I want to run an ad to these people.
Interesting.
Yeah, because you know what they want to do is they make their own layouts.
Mm-hmm.
And Arduino is awesome for being able to control, the trains switching and turning on lights and doing that's exactly what it's for.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, you just grab that angle.
Exactly.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that would do well.
Yeah, so I'm going to try it because I actually already have a few people in my group. So let me just close all this stuff.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, let me ask you a question here, real quick. So, let's say that I find, here's Atlas Model Railroad, and the items that are in here, and I think we spoke about this, are totally unrelated, right?
Sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, and it's really based on how targeted or how like special is the page that you're putting. So let me give you an example. If I put Kim Kardashian, like because Kim Kardashian is such a like big like celebrity, I will get a complete like mix of bunch of stuff. But if I put I don't know, maybe like a very underground artist that only a very few people know that that would be really into, like, let's just say like experimental jazz or something like very specific, then the page like stuff might change. But it honestly just depends really on like what Facebook has optimized. So you gotta kind of take it with a grain of salt and just try to go like deeper,
All right, so because this one's actually starting to yield a bit of gold here, so I'm actually just going to copy this.
Yeah, copy that. Do you remember that video from Ben Malol where he was saying, or kind of sharing his strategy that, a true fan would only know who like X person is. Like everyone knows who Muhammad Ali is, but not anyone will know who, like, let's just say Bob Jenkins is, right?
All right. All right, so let me close the rest of this down. I don't think, do we need this? No.
No, I don't think so.
All right, let me close that.
I'm gonna pull my my content blocks sheet because this is straight gold. Actually, I'll share a copy of this one.
Okay.
So it'll just help you organize the content into like the right blocks, Actually,
no, we do need that other, because I wanted to show you this one. I'm I'm not running this right now, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
I'll turn this guy back on. Oops. This is my how to become an Arduino master nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And this really converts extremely well.
Really?
What the hell? Why is this? I get like a 37% conversion.
Wow. Wow. That's nice.
Here it is. Yeah, 39.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Yeah, that's above average opt-in, so it's not bad at all.
So this basically leads to a PDF,
Mm-hmm.
and then after the PDF, it brings them to my thank you page is actually just pointing them again at, hey, come look at the Dr. Guido.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, that's totally cool. Mm-hmm.
so I think maybe we can use this as part of the content.
Mm-hmm. Does the PDF have a link to the sales page?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have the PDF there? I'd just like take a quick look.
Oops. That's not it. It actually comes with a bunch of code.
Mm-hmm.
And also, here it is. Okay. So this is it.
Let's see. Okay. Master. Mm-hmm. Cool.
And honestly, all these things are really simple. Oh my God. Like it's almost embarrassing to show this stuff.
But hey, for someone that's starting, like that's for them it's still very valuable.
And then I'll just show you. So here it is. This is pro tip number 3, which is of course me.
Mm-hmm. First example, I'm going to show you. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then here's the offer. And this actually can a straight. I'll get like a 2 to 3% cold conversion if I just run traffic at this. 2 to 3% will buy.
2 to 3% will buy, like just from the PDF.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's not bad. I think so. That's one place where the link is. Is it at the end too?
Oh yeah. Here and here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. No, I think the PDF is great. Yeah, that's your first. I'm sending the thing right now. I just shared it, so you should have an email soon.
Oh, can we record this one?
I'm recording it already.
Oh, sweet. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to close this unless you wanted to see more.
No, that's it. Okay, so yeah, because I just want to like organize them into the content block. So if you want, pull up the other stuff, like the other content that you were thinking to use, so we can start to kind of put them in the right framework.
Okay, this on my blog, this article performs very well.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is actually going to be my next product that I develop and deploy.
Nice.
And this actually is also my Amazon affiliate. And
oh, perfect. Yeah, so a little bit of money there.
This ties really nicely.
Mm-hmm.
So this is basically on how to Arduino by itself is it's not that it's useless, but you need to give it input, right? And all of these things are inputs. And so people, this really does well. This particular article.
Mm-hmm.
So this is one. Do you want me to like send you a link or something, or?
That's really cool. And if you want on another tab, open the document that I just sent you. You should just go through it.
Oh wait, I don't see another doc. You just sent me something now?
Oh, you know what? Let me just give you the actual link. I'll just email it to you.
Okay.
Which email do you use more? The info@Dr. Arduino or?
Nah, the other one, firmware engineer.
Hold on. What's the email? It's not popping up for me.
Here it is. I just got it. I mean, you can use that other one.
Oh, okay. Okay. So then, yeah, if you just got it, let's see if you can open it.
I mean, I get notifications for both. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Cool. So, a couple things. This first part helps a ton just to organize the content, because sometimes we like pump out content because we're content creators and you want to give value and all that, but we don't know like where exactly it goes. And sometimes it's hard for us to put to what temperature of traffic or to what level of awareness. You know how we talked about that pyramid that I showed you last time?
Yeah. Hold on one sec, because
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this thing on my screen, but I can't get rid of it for some stupid reason.
Oh, yeah. I see. Editors can now see your view history. Can you like click out of it or?
No, maybe on your side.
Let's see.
This is, I can't do anything. Let me kill it and try to come back in.
Yeah.
What is going on? Here we go.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, sweet. So you will see on the bottom there it says blog key, Facebook blogs, email blogs, YouTube blogs, blog posts. So this essentially this Excel or this document is meant for you to like organize the content. And so you will see that it says right there block type on the E column.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, right where you are. Yeah. So there's 13 types of content, and this doesn't matter if you're doing marketing, if you're doing Arduino, if you're doing spirituality stuff like I'm doing. It applies exactly the same. So there's 13 content blogs that have a very specific purpose to essentially get people to like, know, and trust you. You know, and this kind of has been studied for a little while. So you got personal stories that we know they're always good to connect with people. Your own philosophy or beliefs about like the subject, results, of course, or training when you're actually like giving some value, lifestyle, that's just literally out of like what does a day in the life of Guido look like type of thing, you know. You have questions, you have ask, you have authority, celebrity, testimonials, PR, solution, process, method, pain, and problem. Some are more important than others, of course. Like one of the most important, of course, are like the ask or like the call to action, pain and problem. But I want to compare them to the pyramid that I had. So I'm gonna share my screen and I'm gonna just go back to this sheet on my end. And what I want to do is I want to take all the content that you have, well, not all the content, but the main pieces, the ones that you say are performing well, and put them in a specific sequence so that you are able to build them on Facebook and has a not just a really good aspect of your content that people will love, but that it moves them from like stage to stage, from like a beginner to like, oh, okay, now I understand why I need this solution or this Arduino or this XYZ. You know, we just need to put them in a specific form.
Gotcha. Okay, cool.
Okay, so I wanna share my screen. Let me know when you can see it.
Oh, I think I have to stop sharing. What's going on here? Why chat week meeting? Oh, here we go. Okay.
Okay. Do you see the screen now?
Yes. Yep, I got it.
All right, cool. So yeah, so essentially there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stages. Obviously here is already where they're ready to buy every single product you give them. And right now you're kind of targeting a little bit of this, a little bit of this, but this is really where like the money's at, right? So right now the ads that you're running, you're kind of running into people that already know what an Arduino is, like the techie one. They're solution aware and sometimes even product aware. They're in between these two, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what we want to do is we want to go a little bit wider because the audience is bigger and you'll be able to scale even more, but you gotta feed them the right information. Right. So I guess the very first question is, what do they need to know, or what's the very first fundamental thing for someone that's just starting? Like, someone that is literally just starting, that, yeah, maybe they do want to tinker with electronics, maybe they have a desire to do that, but what's the first thing they need to know? And do you have a piece of content that does that basically will just show that pain or problem before they even understand the problem? Like, maybe you can vocalize the problem better than they can.
So the thing which people keep latching on to is I just got a sale. Yay.
Nice.
Yeah, people keep latching on to the fact that they like the fact that there's no breadboard involved.
Mm-hmm.
So the breadboard is definitely the evil part of designing and developing. But you know what? I was actually thinking about this problem the other day. The people who are my customer is not so much the people who are brand new to electronics, have never held a soldering iron. Those wouldn't be a good target for me, and in fact might be a problem customer. So I need the people who are one level up, who they know how to solder-ish, maybe they burn stuff, and that's cool, and they've coded a little bit. Like, that person is fine. So for them, they understand what a breadboard is, and how it's kind of a pain in the ass, but they may not know that there's another solution out there.
Yeah. So that you might start here then. Like one level up. And to do that, I want to show you another framework that it's pretty cool because it's so simple that it almost feels like it's silly, but it's like the best exercise I've done. So give me a second. Let me just look for it. It's a book actually I read a while ago, but it came with like a whole exercise that you can do. It's called brand story. It's all about like basically storytelling in like its purest form, but how it applies to business and how really like ultimately you position yourself as the guide. You're the one that's telling them like, hey, listen, this is the way to do this, or this is why you need the Arduino, this is why the breadboard sucks, and like you're the guy, you're like Yoda. I don't know. Do you like Star Wars?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so we'll use the Star Wars analogy. So give me a second. Where is it? Bam, bingo. Okay, perfect. Because this will like really help you just like really nail down so you can put them in the right structure. So let me share my screen again. This concept honestly like changed my life. It's so simple, but it's so like powerful.
Okay. So
essentially, throughout the journey, whether you want to put it with, whether you want to put it in a horizontal, from like here to here, remember how we saw this model, or whether you want to put it from down to up, is the same thing. And this is basically the same thing, where you're taking them from where they are to the end. So it's cool because, it puts the Hunger Games as an example. So who's the character? Katniss. And what's their external problem? Her external problem is that she must survive. Her internal problem is that she must stay good and authentic. And there's a philosophical aspect of it. Tyranny versus democracy. Now, this is really key to understand because people buy things on multiple levels. Usually we make decisions like, emotionally, and then we just justify them rationally, right? So for you to understand the levels of their drivers will allow you to speak to them in a way that's more powerful and more compelling, which of course ultimately will increase your conversions. So if I only were talking to, okay, here, let's go to the Star Wars one. There it is. So Luke is our character. The external is he's got to defeat the Empire. That's like the physical, like what you can see with your eyes, right? But the internal is like, is he a Jedi? Like, does he have what it takes to become a Jedi? And most often than not, the internal ends up being so much more important, so much stronger to be able to, compel someone to make a decision or a choice about something. So who exactly is your character, and what are the levels of their problem? External, internal, philosophical. And even before we get to like any of this, could you like vocalize that? Like, what do you think is the external? What do you think is the internal? And why does it matter? The philosophical. Why does it matter in the in the global aspect of it? Like, why is it important?
So that's a good question. I mean, there's lots of, as you're talking, I'm kind of like these ideas are sprouting into my head.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just take one. So the external is to be able to bring an idea that the person has to life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's say that you wanted to make your own drone, for example, or make your own home automation device. That way, when your car pulls up, the lights in the house turn on.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think from the creativity vantage point, a lot of people want to do those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you got that one for sure. Like, I think the ability to create and to not be limited by the hardware or by anything else, but actually be able to like project what's on your head to like real life. It's definitely the external. Yeah, cool. What do you think is the internal? Like, why is what's the deep in their heart? Like, what is it? Like, why is that important to them, or why is it that it's powerful to do that? Think of it for your own life. What did you want to experience internally? Was it more out of a sense of like just like for you type of thing, like I gotta do this, like, or was it because someone told you a long time ago, oh, you can't do it, and you wanted to prove them wrong, like a chip on your shoulder? Was it or straight up just becoming who you needed to become, and it was scary and challenging to go that route, but you did it? Similar to this, like, what's your equivalent of, is he a Jedi?
For me, it was always to bring to the world things which people have never seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. For me, I just get a charge out of that. Like I showed my Goonie box thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Whenever people see that and their jaws drop, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's it. I just love that.
Mm-hmm. You love the feeling of being able to like show it to the world, and then being like, oh my gosh, like, this is insane.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. How would you describe that? Like, what's that feeling? Is it maybe just like out of a sense of like just pride of like, man, like I was able to do this, or like how would you, I guess, condense it into like a one?
More of in like I was able to give somebody else, some happiness, or
yeah, that's cool. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or really amaze and just wow the other person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, there's some pride in there, but I think I'm just trying to think back to the first time that I showed Goonie Box to my friends, because I worked on that thing for a year, and I didn't let anybody see it. I would talk to them about it, but I didn't let them see it. And when they first saw it, everybody's mouth dropped, and I just remember feeling really happy that like look at how happy they are. I just
yes,
that was it for me.
Cool. And do you think that your customers have that same thing, where like they are really looking forward to that same thing of like that happiness in that moment where they reveal it, the big reveal, curtain opens, and
For
like,
sure.
oh my gosh, so you're fulfilling both, because usually that's what happens, right? Like the story of Star Wars is so great because in the climax of the whole movie, all three of them, external, internal, philosophical, are getting resolved. So it's so satisfying to the viewer to be part of that story, because you're like, oh my gosh, like they're defeating the Empire. He's proven to himself that he is a Jedi, and good is winning. And it all happens when he says click on that button, and then they destroy the Death Star. Like all happens in like that a moment where like everything gets fulfilled. Like all three levels of the problems get fulfilled.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I totally get that.
Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting because now when you look at Obi-Wan Kenobi as the guide, you know, first of all, it's not about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the story. And that's very key to understand, because most companies make the mistake of like puffing themselves up and making themselves the hero of the story. You know, you're not the hero of the story, you're the guide. The hero of the story is your customer.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so one of the interesting things is that as a guide, you have a plan. So you need to give them, you know, a specific plan, which you're giving them to them. You're like, this, like, if you want to overcome these 3 things right here that we just, oh, sorry, I didn't ask you, what's the philosophical? Why does it matter for, you know, techies and all that? Like, why does it matter on a global scale, on a large scale?
So before Arduino, in order to make any of these kinds of things, it was a monumental process. I mean, just, you know, to get a light to blink, I'm not kidding you, it would take you about a week. Whereas now, you know, to get a light to blink, it's, you know, a couple of seconds. So I think the barrier to entry is now not there. I don't know if that's a good philosophical reason for it.
Well, I'll help you put the philosophical, because I think I know what it is. Like, the philosophical is ultimately the moving the generation forward. You know what I mean? Like, actually pushing through the old system, the old school, and like moving them to like, hey, like, welcome to 2018, where things don't have to be that hard. So it matters as a whole, because you're evolving in a way, you know, the industry, you're pushing forward. So it's like, you know, kind of like Tesla in a way, where like that's their philosophical. Why does it matter? Because they not only are changing the environment and helping all these wonderful things, but they're advancing like from the old school, the old model, into like, wow, like futuristic, where, you know, there's no contamination, where every car is electrical, where everything is sustainable, where, right, it just matters in that philosophical, you know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Okay, cool. So part of the plan, and I think this is one of the things that we might need to work on, is that there's two parts of the plan. One is the process, and you might have part of the process in your sales letter, but the other part is the agreement of it. And what I mean by the agreement is, you know, do they recognize that that is the plan they need in order to succeed? Because a lot of, like, probably what's happening is that it's not clear enough yet, unless they really dive in, or they're already like you know, back to this, unless they're already kind of like in this area. A lot of the times, people that are in just the problem aware stage might not have enough clarity yet. So you might need to tackle your process from different angles. So what would you say is the best piece of content right now that tells them about that plan, right? Because like Obi-Wan Kenobi basically gave Luke a plan. He said, hey, you need to trust the Force. That's the plan. You know, how do you do all this? You need to trust the Force, and you need training, and you need all these different things. But he gave him a very specific plan that then later called them to action. Go defeat the Empire. Now that you know how to do it, because I just gave you the step-by-step plan, now you know what to do, and you can go ahead and you know, make some damage. So maybe take your screen for a second and show me what is the best piece of content that shows them the process or the plan that you as a guide is giving them to, you know.
I don't know that I have one, to be honest.
Okay, so that might be a piece of content that, you know, you might be able to put together, because even when I look at here like this, I'll just highlight the most important ones.
I mean, I talk about it all over the place, you know, in terms of, this is what it looks like to develop with breadboards. This is what it's like to develop with my board. Right. But do I have anything like on my website about? No.
Because one of the cool things I've been doing recently is, even though you might have a plan, you know, that's like step 1, step 2, step 3, but if it doesn't have very unique names, sometimes it's hard for people to remember. So for example, Scott, the guy that created the whole relevance theory and whatnot, has the ROI method. And even though the ROI method is basically just another way to portray some of these concepts that talk about the offer and the, I don't know, the messaging, the marketing, like all those things that everyone does, he made it his own plan or his own, like, you know, process. And all of a sudden it becomes so clear that like people don't have another option. And that's ultimately what you want people to understand is this is not a plan. This is the plan. Like there's no other way to do it.
Yeah. I'd have to think about, I mean, I guess if I would have to take the breadboard and make that the central quote unquote enemy or evil.
Oh, exactly. And I like that you said that you use the word specifically enemy, because with the problem, we just looked at the internal, external, philosophical, but you always need a villain. And the villain needs to be one, because when you have so many villains, so many like enemies, the story falls for lack of clarity. So when if you can, exactly, point the one problem, you know, that ultimately the villain is the one causing the internal, the external, and the philosophical.
I can definitely, I have lots of pieced content here and there, but you know, over the years, I think I've refined what that is, and I can definitely put it together in a better way.
Because honestly, if you can vocalize the problem from different angles, where like you might just talk about the internal, that might be a piece of content. You can just talk about the external, then you hit people on every angle. Because again, like not all customers are created equal, you know, some make decisions because of, you know, more of the aspect that they just want to create. And that's the reason why. Other ones are more about what you said, that happiness, that feeling of like, wow, like I can't wait to like have other people show my masterpiece to and get them to be so excited and happy, and we can all be like, wow, this is amazing. Or some other ones might just be like, hey, listen, you know, I buy a Tesla car, not really because of the car itself or anything else, but I'm really an advocate of like the environment. And that's what drives them. and really, they just buy it because of that. They take pride in like, I'm being part of the solution. I'm a millennial that, you know, just cares about the environment.
Yeah. Okay.
So as you go through that, also think of what's the transformation that the character goes through. You know, if you were to put your product like right here in the middle, right? What, like how it, like exactly what happens from where they are right now to where it takes them in every level.
So here's where things, this is where I kind of go off the rails sometimes.
Yeah.
Because my product actually was not initially developed nor designed for the beginner, right? I think I may have mentioned it was actually developed for guys like me who are a bit more advanced, and know the heartaches of not being able to like attach your other equipment to Arduino, because that's really the frustration point. But you won't know that until you actually begin to develop and become more proficient, right? So that's a much, you know, if you talk about pyramid, that's way lower in the pyramid, those types of people. And so I'm trying not to focus on that end, aside from just touching on it briefly and saying, by the way, this thing doubles as a really powerful tool after you learn. Right? And then I kind of get lost in the mud. But if we talk about the transformation from the beginner, so
let me pull this
up
just so we can have like a little whiteboard here. Money. You know, I want to basically boil it down to its simplest function, because of course you can always go very, very intricate with so many details, but you know, let's just get the super basics first and choose like one piece of content on each block.
Okay, yeah, that'd be perfect.
You know what I mean? That moves them to where we want to go, you know? So okay, so let's just start from the top. So who would you say is your guide, and what would you say, or sorry, the hero of the story, your look of the story? What's that first piece of content that if you were in their shoes, you would want to see? That, you know, maybe that's the PDF, maybe it's not. Maybe there's another piece, and maybe this is the PDF. I don't know. You tell me.
I think I think the PDF is definitely there.
Okay.
At that level, I think for sure, because a lot of people want to be able to get started in Arduino and feel like, oh, I can do this, right? Even though Arduino is like incredibly simple, simple. If you don't have any technical background, or very little, I should say, let's go with very little. You might be a little bit intimidated,
right?
So I think the Arduino Master stuff really resonates at that level.
Okay, cool. What's your ad look like for the PDF, or how are people getting to that landing page?
Yeah, let me share my screen then with you. And that one really converts pretty well. Again, I stopped running it. I think you have to stop sharing your screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay, do you see it?
Yes, I see.
Okay, so this one. So I've run them, these three essentially. This is it. So this is actually a quote from a very old movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw it, but it's like,
I don't think so.
It's like this old martial arts movie. It's terrible. It's really awful. But like that was one of the lines. Like, who's the master? It's like, you are. I don't know, but this just resonates with people.
Cool. So when you were running this, what was your cost per lead?
Yeah, let's dig into that. So for this one,
oh, 79 cents. That's nice. Just saw like.
Oh, you did? I didn't.
Yeah, go to.
There we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I was testing across a bunch of different, but here, let's bring this.
Yeah, that first one's pretty sweet.
And this was basically, I know a lot more about this now that I think about this. So this is actually people who are into teaching and Arduino and Raspberry Pi. So this converted pretty well.
Do you think that you would convert better with the new top performing audience that you have now?
Wait, say that. I don't understand the question. Say it one more time.
Yeah, like the first audience that we saw that you were getting like 25 purchase, that you said it was really good. Do you think that if you were to replace that audience with this specific ad, do you think you'll convert even better, maybe even cheaper than 79 cents, or no?
You know what? It's definitely worth a try. I've been all over the place for so long that I actually kind of forgot that I even ran that. So I could definitely try running the same exact audience and optimize for purchase.
Yeah, because what I would want to do is literally just, let's even say take $1,000 for the test and put them through the whole like 1, 2, 3 thing that we're doing, that little process that we're doing, and just measure with that $1,000, like actually how much did it end up costing you, because you might not be able to measure it the same easy way that you're doing it now, that you run an ad and you get how much it costs per purchase, because in this case we're doing it like stage 1, stage 2, or stage 3. So you might have to say, okay, I'll spend, I'm just going to give you some numbers, right? $600 on the PDF, then $250 for the stage 2, and then the rest for stage 3, right? Or whatever split. It could be like 33%, 33% of that. 1,000.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So if you want, let me go back to and let's see if we can fill out the.
Sure. Yeah. Let me stop sharing.
Oh,
at the beach. Oh. Okay,
so after they've gotten the PDF, if if they didn't go here right away, right? They just saw the PDF, they got it, they went to the thank you page, right?
Yep.
So what's the next piece of content that, you know, because maybe they read it, maybe they're like, okay, that's cool, but maybe they still have questions. Maybe they still don't really think it might be relevant to them necessarily. So what would be the next, you know, piece of content that might get them to maybe understand more about the problem, the internal or the external, or what content piece do you have for that?
Let me, yeah, I think this is the part where I don't, and maybe I need to put something together.
So you mentioned you had like that really good performing one, the blog post you showed me. Where would that one go? Would that just be another one in, you know, like a second option here, or is that maybe here, or is that maybe just here?
That one is more like an ancillary. Hey, how can you, like, essentially, if you think of the Arduino in terms of your brain, like if your brain is just sitting there, yeah, it's cool. It's got all this processing power. But if you can't touch and feel and move things, it's kind of useless. Right? So that second article that I showed you is essentially giving your Arduino, you know, eyes and ears to be able to listen and monitor the world. So it doesn't quite fit in. It's just like another piece of, stuff, another piece of knowledge.
Okay. So yeah, if it was another piece of knowledge, I mean, you could put it here, because now you're speaking about like more about the solution, like you're diving deeper into like what is it, you know?
Well, diving deeper into what Arduino is, like as a whole, not so much.
Yeah, exactly. Because you talked about like the enemy or the problem being that the breadboard, right? So then when you start talking about deeper into Arduino, showing examples, going deeper into like what it is, then you're really just like speaking of the solution. You're getting people pumped that like, oh, okay, like that wow, I didn't know the Arduino could do all that. I know you could use it for X, Y, or Z.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, because the Arduino master PDF, that actually doesn't touch on the breadboard issue at all.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, that's really just like tips and tricks that I use when I'm developing.
So that might be part of the problem too, because you're not really pushing their hot buttons or their pain so much, because you're giving them a lot of the tips, which is fantastic, but you kind of need to tell them like, listen, this is why this really sucks. Like, this is why this is painful. Like, do not do it this way. Like, you gotta, you know, kind of push that pain a little bit so that they really wanna change, you know, their ways. Because yeah, I've seen, and I made that example or that mistake myself when I was, you know, trying to get clients where, yeah, I would want to give them a lot of value, but I never took the time to say, hey, if you're doing it with like let's say I'm selling funnels and I'm like talking about funnels, that's fantastic, but if I don't spend the time to be like, are you still using a website? Like, you're converting so crap. Like, you're leaving so much money on the table. Like, website sucks. Like, your website probably needs a ton of work. Then I'm not really pushing that problem so much enough for them to be ready for the solution.
Yeah, so I could make a piece of content. I'm not opposed to like just starting from scratch and throwing away what I have. It's totally fun. So I could start with. Well, you tell me what's like the formats that I should be using, because I could make a video of you know, here's a breadboard type kit.
Yeah.
And here is the exact same circuit that's in my Arduino. Just here, look at it, because this is what it looks like. Actually, you know what? Let me just show you my screen for just a second, because I want to give you a feeling.
Yeah.
What that actually means. Okay.
Yes.
So this white thing down here, this is the breadboard.
Yes.
All of these wires and stuff. This is a very typical kit. So all of these wires and stuff is connecting. You know, these are LEDs. This is a buzzer. This is a relay. They're all connecting to this black thing in the middle is called a microchip. But just think of that as like Arduino, right? So you would have to hand wire all this crap.
Now, yeah, that's painful.
This, this
It stresses me just to see the mess, you know.
yeah, it's crazy. This is an actual project that I built with my students. This is a rocket launcher that we built, and this is real, right?
Wow.
Or you could do it like this.
Yeah. Wow. Like night and day.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you could live through hell, or you could do this. Which one do
Yeah.
you want?
No, and I think that's perfect. I think that having a video, yeah, you know what? Like, I think this is what I would do. I would do a video that just like talks about the breadboard and how painful it is. Maybe, yeah, like you have like a camera set, and you're just like being like so frustrated trying to, you know, do it all with the breadboard, and then you can talk about like the better way in that same video. The video doesn't have to be longer than like even 5 minutes, you know, 3 minutes even, but then the call to action can still be the PDF.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah, because through the video they might be like, oh my gosh, like you format your video kind of in like you've seen those like BuzzFeed type of style, right? That like they have like the meme, like something written on top and something written on the bottom and the video in the middle, right?
Yep.
So I would do something like that. Let me just show you. I don't know if I can. Yeah. Yeah, so just imagine like this was your video, right?
Okay.
And you have like something written on top that could say something like, you know, still doing it old school, or like, you know, kind of like this is hell, or like, you know, like just something that's like very like pain driven. That's like, oh my gosh, like I would, yeah, that looks like a mess. Like I do not want that. And then just go through the video you actually talking about or explaining like the, you know, this is the old way, this is the new way. Like this is why this sucks really bad, and this is why this, you know, it's really cool. And just kind of going back and forth like that for, you know, 3 minutes with whatever obviously content that you
Yeah, I can totally do that. That's fine.
yeah, then the video in itself would be a qualifier and would push that pain. So when they go and you know, get the PDF, now they're here, because the video just kind of acted as a, you know, mostly for this, and then the PDF just becomes like transitional one to another.
But how do I? But I guess I'm confused by that, because okay, yeah, I can make a video that shows here's a breadboard and then here's my product, whatever. And then, but what's going to make them want to, like, what's the hook? How do I say, like, go get my PDF?
Well, I would just say at the end, like, hey, if you want to learn more about the Arduino, like, get my, I think you said like 5 like secret like like ninja Arduino knowledge or whatever the case, right? So you're like, listen, this is why this sucks really bad. If you actually are serious about like doing it right, go get the PDF if you wanna like be a ninja at this, you know, instead of being in the old school way. So the video, like maybe 80%, maybe that's too much, maybe like 70% of your video is like talking about why the breadboard sucks, like mainly, you know, and then the last little piece, the last minute or so, you can say like, hey, they're doing this fantastic, this is why it's so amazing, and just giving them a little taste, just a little teaser of why it's so cool, and then saying, hey, if you guys want to know more about it, if you actually want to become an Arduino master, go get the PDF.
I gotcha. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah. Does that make sense? Do you think that the audience would respond good to that?
Yeah, for sure.
And then now the next piece could just expand on the process. So this is where you would put the process, right? Like what we we're talking about before, of like kind of laying down like a, you know, it could be like a 1, 2, 3 step, you know, it doesn't have to be anything complicated, but it's cool if you can give it, you know, the Dr. Arduino methodology or something like that, you know, just like making up like a name for it. I think you're really good with names, by the way. I saw some of the names that you put on your upsells for like the packs, and yeah, like I think it's fantastic. So I don't think you have a problem with like naming. You're creative, you get it. So it's more of just like packaging it. And same deal, you can either package it as a video, you know, which is I think what I would do, and then I would just retarget to now the actual like, oops, I don't know if I can, the actual like call to action, which basically is it's the ad that you're running right now to now the sale. So this could be a video that I just target anyone that watch maybe like maybe 95% of the video or more, or 75% of the video or more.
Okay, let me just make sure I got this right. So what do you mean by the process? Like,
so if we go to actually share your screen and go to the sales page.
Why? This is weird. Why doesn't it? Oh, I think you got to stop sharing yours.
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting. Because like, correct me if I'm wrong, the Arduino that you created needs couple different things to basically use it at its fullest potential, right?
You mean
LEDs, switches, buzzers. Here, yeah, just scroll slowly to it. I'll point out what I mean.
Yeah, I'll give you control.
Oh, okay, perfect.
There you go.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
I'm not sure that that's the right messaging, by the way. The getting started with Arduino doesn't have to be confusing. I'm not sure that that's right anymore.
Yeah, it might not be, because again, when they come over here, yeah, they might already have certain beliefs that, yeah, this just becomes a little irrelevant, especially to have it this high up. Like, I don't think that this is like the first thing that should be like hitting them with.
I agree.
Yeah, so maybe just something to kind of consider. Start your link adventure with the most electronic. Okay, so there you go. One shield, two awesome uses, right? So the shield can become like a step or like a part of what makes it so good. You know, like going back to the whole like the plan, right? Luke was trust the force. Yours is the Arduino, like this specific board, like your product, right? Like that's your like plan. Like you're telling them like, stop doing it the old way. This is how you do it. But inside this one, there's multiple things. Okay, so the shield is one. A better one. Hold on. Can you tell me more about this, like the code to test?
Yeah, basically, after you assemble the unit, I created some code to help you test to make sure that everything is working. So I just give some code that allows them to do that. It essentially rings out every component and makes sure that the soldering connections are good.
Perfect. So for example, now we got to, it's like, okay, first of all, we can talk about the shield and everything about it. Then testing is like the second step. So, okay, once you understand what the shield is and what it can do, then you can test it. And then it could be even a third one of like, okay, now, you know, the third one could just be like, have fun, or like, you know, make something awesome or whatever, but just something where like it's condensed in like a 1 to 3 step form. Because for people, like I've noticed like in my years of marketing that, you know, when you're marketing to someone, imagine it like you're playing bowling. Like you can only throw one bowling ball at a time, and they only have 2 hands to catch one bowling ball. So you have to build everything around like the one bowling ball. So if the enemy is the breadboard and the solution is the Arduino, great. But now that you have the Arduino as the solution, breaking it down so that someone can digest it better makes the whole difference of like clarity. Because I feel that the main reason why people won't buy is because they just don't understand yet if it's for them or if they needed it specifically. You know, a lot of people might go here and say, okay, this looks good. I kind of get the gist of it, but it might still be a little bit hard for them to wrap their head around like, okay, so like, what do I need? Like, you know, this might be very complicated for someone that doesn't understand it yet. So you need to like boil it down into like a simplest format. Like the shield is this and helps you this. The, you know, testing is important and I'm including it for free because it does this. And then the third one, I'm including this other thing too. And like, that's my specific process or plan or method to to get rid of your pain and your problem, and be able to become an Arduino master. Does that make sense?
I gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha.
Yeah, it's just a way to like boil it down. So you might, again, this might be done in a video format. This might be a post. Post could, you know, definitely work. And you know, going back here, for example. So for example, Scott's method consists of like omnipresent, which is just like becoming like, you know, like seeing, basically having people see you everywhere. Like you go to Instagram, you're there. Facebook, you're there. YouTube, you're there. Like that's the omnipresence. Relevancy is just like telling them the right thing at the right time. So he just made it into his own like system. He's like, okay, you need omnipresence, you need relevancy, and you need intimacy, because he was talking about like relationships. And that's it. Like those are his 3 step by step. So that just helps people boil down, because of course, like look how many content pieces he has on omnipresence. It's really hard to explain. So there needs to be a way to like just boil it down and be like, hey, listen, the ROI method consists of people seeing you everywhere, telling them the right thing at the right time, and building true relationships with people. That's it. That's my system. And if you want to get to 7 figures, you need the system, period. Like in its, you know, simplest form, like an elevator pitch, they said. So your elevator pitch would be like, you know, if you're tired of the freaking old school, the breadboard sucks, then you need an Arduino. What's an Arduino? Great. You need the shield, you need the testing, and you need the blank. And then you'll be able to become an Arduino master. And, you know, the equivalent of 7 figures in marketing, yours would be like, be able to become this, you know, creator and give people this feeling of happiness and the philosophical, like all that being fulfilled.
I gotcha.
You know? So yeah, just one piece like that, you know, and that piece could be called whatever name you come up with. It could also be called just like, you know, why do I need an Arduino master? An Arduino, or like, why is an Arduino like, you know, key or you know, non-negotiable that you should get, you know, because again, you don't want it to position yourself as just like another option. Like this is the way. It's only one way to do it right, type of thing, you know. And it's with your specific system and process. That's why it's important, the process, because if Luke knew that there was other ways to do it, then then the trust, the force becomes a little irrelevant. It's kind of like, well, that's a cool option, you know, what other options do I have? But it's like no. But it's like, no, it's only through trusting the force. That's the only plan that it will work. And if you don't get it through me, you know, talking as Obi-Wan Kenobi, if you don't get it through me or through like the force, you will fail. Like there's no other option B.
Right. Okay. So I need to position myself as being it. Like you want to get started with Arduino, I'm it.
Exactly. You want people to believe that like there's no other way to do it, and that's why you need that specific process. And when you package that process, it feels like it's unique, and it feels like no one else has that, because there's only one Dr. Arduino. It could be the Dr. Arduino, you know, system, method, process, whatever name you come up with. Like honestly, the name is really irrelevant. It's more the fact that they have, like, that they can remember it. You know, it could be trust the force, trust the Arduino. That's it. You know, but it's the fact that they are like, okay, now I have a name and I know it's step 1, 2, 3, or it's made of step, you know, whatever.
I gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go back to, here, I'll let you take over again.
Wait, what am I taking over?
Just to stop sharing the screen. So I go back to the.
Yep, go ahead.
So yeah, so I would say just to, you know, start kind of wrapping up and summarize. Definitely, you know, making this video would be so key, because honestly, if it starts converting really, really, really well, you might be able to do this. You might be able to kind of like use it to at this stage. Like this video could be here, but this video could also be here, and you might get like some really good cheap conversions, like worth testing. So step 1, make this video. Step 2, fix a couple of the messaging stuff on the sales page, according to now that, you know, that you kind of do this. Like I would encourage you to basically, you know, complete this to what do they want, the problem stuff, and interesting because the guide part, which is you, has two pieces. One is the empathy, which is the whole personal story of like, I've been where you are, like this really sucks, like I do not want you guys to go through that. That's why I'm here, to tell you that there's a better way. But there's also that authority piece, and the authority piece is cool because you could show some of the creations, like what's that the creation you made, the box,
Goonie box.
The Goonie box, yeah. So the Goonie box gives you authority. It's like, oh my gosh, like that's really cool. Like it makes you be like, you're a badass guy, like you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, you know. Right. And then the process, which you'll get to, and it's interesting because when it comes to the call to action, direct means buy. Direct is like, let's get married. Transitional, right. It's the, hey, would you go out with me? It's the, hey, you know, would you want to know more about? Would you want to click on this link, or would you want to download my PDF, right? So you're always playing with both a direct and transitionals at all time, because no matter if someone is coming through, go back. No matter if someone is here or here or here, there's always people that are ready to buy, and there's always people that won't buy. Oh, there's always, you know, it doesn't matter what stage you're on, there's always people that are ready, people that are not ready. So you always need both. Transitional call to action for people that are not ready, and the direct call to action for people that are ready, like at all times, at all stages. So
let me ask you, like from a technical vantage point, mm-hmm. So we have the problem, and I'll create this video, right? Mm-hmm. Then with a call to action of, hey, go get my PDF. Mm-hmm. Now that's optimized for what?
So the PDF one, it's optimized for leads, because that's kind of like what you're doing right now. You want people to download the PDF.
Okay, so optimize it for leads. Okay.
Yeah. And I would actually split test it with video views.
Oh, optimize for video views and optimize for leads?
Yeah. I think I would do that split test, because if your video is fire and if you do it like really cool and it speaks to the audience, then you might get a ton of clicks that would obviously end up in people downloading the PDF, but at a cheaper cost, because Facebook is just caring of having a ton of people watch it, period.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you might need to split test that. Then when you get to the next part, you start your first like retargeting, and you'll retarget them with that process piece or that video piece or something that basically just positions you as an authority and says, I'm it. Exactly like what you said, right?
And that's optimized for purchases.
And that could be exactly optimized for purchase, because now you're like, okay, like if you're ready, that's what it is, you know. Or it could also be optimized for add to cart.
Yeah.
You know, just depending on what, you know, I'll probably actually say add to cart will be better at this stage. And then this one, the last retargeting, when you have another retargeting here with the last, whoops.
And the retargeting there is people who saw the solution but didn't buy.
Exactly. Because at this point, it's like you're like, they're very warmed up. You know, like they saw you here, they got the PDF, they consumed this third piece of content. So they've done like 3 actions, like video, PDF, and then like this would just be like the killer. And this ad right here, this ad right here would now be so much more like so much stronger, because you're not just going, you know, to cold people. You're now retargeting someone that already basically likes, knows, and trusts you pretty much, because it's consumed your content, your position as an authority, they understand your process. And sometimes I've seen that in this part of the process, you might need not just one piece of content, but you might need 2 pieces of content, maybe a blog post. I'm just gonna put B for blog post, and a video. Because sometimes, as I said, like it just, the first way to explain it, or the way you explain it, maybe it kind of made sense, but it's not like fully clear. So maybe you need like 2 different angles to display that.
Gotcha.
And, you know, obviously you can keep building on each one, as many as you want, and keep testing on each. But I think that, yeah, this piece right here is probably the main piece that's missing for you to convert people, because you have this piece and you have this piece, but most of the reason why they might not be buying is the lack of clarity. They still don't understand, like, you know, how does it like work, and why is it, you know, work for me? Like, tell me in like a, you know, 1 minute, simplify a process, or in 5 minutes, whatever it takes you to explain.
I gotcha. And the last number 3, that's actually the current my current video that I'm running right now, right?
Yeah. Unless if it's just a content, duplicate of this, because you already kind of tackled it here, then I would have to, you would have to change this a little bit, where now you're maybe being even more direct, or you're tackling specifically like one angle. You might have to play with this, but yeah, I would say for now, test it how you have it with the current ad that you have, and just the fact that they already consume all this stuff and they've seen you, this will be so powerful in itself. And then this you can optimize for purchase, like 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I think this will crush it, I think.
Yeah, because no one is doing what you're doing, especially in your industry. So you have like the whole market to yourself. And if you can have like a huge audience, like all the way from here, like imagine this like a very, very wide funnel,
Yeah.
Then you can start building some really cool audiences where you might have like 10,000 people that watch the video, and now you just keep retargeting them with like new content and new stuff. The challenge here, kind of like word of warning ahead, is that you might start running this ad, and you might be like, man, like I'm not getting purchases right now. But it's like you need to play the long run, because this process right here might not be 1 day or 3 days. This process might be like a minimum of like 14 days.
Yeah, I can see that, because you got to get people into it.
Exactly.
In the pipe. Yeah, I totally see that.
And it's funny because Scott actually, like, this guy's a monster. He has like, he has this, but he has like a 14-day, a 30-day, a 90-day, and like 120-day, where that's like the last try that he gives people before they just become like irrelevant, like AKA you'll stay in that list forever type of thing,
Right.
Now, question, are you emailing your list? Because the retargeting is going to be powerful, but it will be even more powerful that you email them with the same content. I'm saying exactly the same. Just the fact that they can see you in multiple platforms will help people to not ignore you, because it one thing is seeing your ad once and just scrolling back. Another one is like, oh shit, he just sent me an email, he retargeted me, I saw him post on the page, like they just see you in like 3-4 different places, and you become omnipresent.
Yeah, so yes, I am. After they download my the PDF, I send them all sorts of stuff. Not exactly this, but other useful pieces of information.
Yeah, and that's totally cool. So something that you might do like email wise is you might have like kind of like a one campaign of like
what campaign?
Email campaign, sorry, of 5 emails specifically, that just its sole purpose is to reinforce stage 2 and get them to stage 3. If they ignore the 5 emails, then they might go into another sequence or another thing where now they're just getting value, which is kind of what you're telling me right now, right?
Yeah, I just put them into it. Yeah, exactly. I put them into like get some value stuff.
Yeah, and I'm saying because there's only so many, hey, go buy it, go do it, that they, that they'll be cool with before they get annoyed, of course. So it's smart to move them into the value, but not without trying, because in that 5-day period, they might start to see your retargeting from this, your process, and you're also like hammering here too. So you might hammer both ways in that first 7 days, and then the other 7 days is this, and you might have maybe like 2 ads, the one you're running and maybe another one that's a video. Maybe,
Let me ask you this though. So that 5x emails, like what am I? You're saying to push them up towards the solution, but what? How technically?
Yeah, totally. And actually, I will give you a. Where do I have it? Yeah. So basically, there's like a very specific day by day that tends to move them to that. Or you're essentially just telling your main story. They call it the epiphany story, which is like when you realize, or how you realize that the breadboard sucked. So the first one is like, hey, welcome, here's your guide, you know, super easy, super straightforward. Second one is like, you know, sorry, my story. So the hold on a second. I think it's easier if I just send you this stuff. Let me just think where it is. Hold on, give me a second. Let me just.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go into my market hero. So I'll just show you like a tangible example. I think it's easier to show, don't tell.
Yeah. I am a highly visual person.
Yeah. So yeah, stop my babbling when it gets too much, and I'd rather show you.
No, not at all. I mean, your teaching style is great.
Okay, I'll show you the one that my wife takes. This is interesting. Okay, so there's the 5 emails. So this is back when my wife was doing some stuff for the cat niche.
Mm-hmm.
So watch this. So first one is like the welcome one. Hey, here's your free guide. You know, here's the secret message to yada yada yada. You give him maybe a couple other stuff. Hey, go check this, go check that. It's just like a little intro, right? My cat. But this campaign did well.
Oh yeah, well, that's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, like at the time. Then after she realized she wanted to do something else, and then the project just kind of died. But anyway, now this first part. Hold on. I know what's the easiest way. Give me just 1 second. I know what I'm gonna get. 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I know what's gonna make it easier. So you know how we talked about the different problems they have, right? They like the internal problem, the external problem, like that kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me just go back to this for a minute. So the first one is you're welcome. The second one is when you actually tell them, like I said, your story. You're giving a story of like, hey, you know, this is what happened, or like, you know, maybe I was sitting on you know, doing my project and I realized this sucks. Like there's gotta be a better way. So you just kind of tell them like a little story through email, and you say, hey, if you want to learn more, go check my process, right? So you're moving them to this second stage, you know, and with the transitional call to action. But now here is where it gets interesting. Through 3, 4, and 5, you're highlighting those specific problems. Because again, remember, if someone is still stuck here, like that's what you gotta like mainly understand. If someone's stuck here, hasn't yet done this step, you know, they still haven't consumed this piece of content, you need to talk more about the problem. They need to understand it from different angles.
Okay.
So after you've told kind of like your story, then you can dedicate one email to talk only about the internal problem, and another one about the external, right? So tell them how frustrating it is to like want to create a masterpiece and something awesome and not having the right tools. Tell them about that feeling of happiness when you finally reveal the big product, and what you felt and what other people felt and what it was like. And even over here you can do
Wait, so the internal problem being the old way, right?
Yes. The old way, and how frustrating it is that you won't be able to to get that feeling of happiness because your product won't even launch. So imagine how frustrating that you're ready to show your mom, you click, the button, and it turns out that you don't even know if it's your hardware or if it's your code.
Yeah.
You have no clue. Like that's an internal problem. That's a horrible, frustrating feeling.
Yeah.
And you're always kind of like emphasizing that. And at the end of every email, you give your call to action. Always, like as we said, the direct one and the transitional. Like, hey, go by here if you're ready to rock. If you want to learn more, go check the process, which is like this piece of content.
And that process though, like where does that reside?
That would be your blog. Like as I said, like that could be the blog post or a page inside your website that essentially just tells them that, yeah. And you install the pixel there so that you can capture like anyone that lands on the page. Now they're ready to be retargeted with this one.
Yeah. Okay. So actually, there's actually two processes that's happening here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So there's one inside the email, which is then pushing them to my website, but it's the same type of process that's video in Facebook.
You got it.
Yeah, I got you.
Exactly.
So now you can retarget them in both instances.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. That's really good.
Ultimately, like really what you're doing, like, as a macro level, like the whole thing is you're like reinforcing belief. People sometimes need multiple angles, multiple ways, multiple creatives. Like it's happened to me before where like he sent me a video and I looked at it, I was like, oh man, I don't feel like watching a 10-minute video. But then he created a blog post that had exactly the same thing, but I just felt like reading more. So I actually ended up consuming that, and that moved me to the next stage instead of that video. But if you only have the video, you'll miss everyone that just didn't want to watch a video. They'd rather write. They'd rather read.
Yeah. Okay. I understand.
And the last one you're going to really like, because the last one is what we call the stack. And the stack is exactly what you already have on your sales page that says, I'm going to give you the code, the shield, the free this, the free that, and I'm going to include this and this and that. And it's going to be freaking awesome. And that's exactly what you need. It's kind of like your last attempt where you're pushing like your call to action hard, but you're building a ton of value because you're like, man, I'm going to give you this bonus. I'm going to give you this bonus. Kind of like, okay, guys, so I've been talking about this problem and this problem. I told you about my story. I told you how frustrating everything of this is. So if you're ready, here's what I'm willing to do for you. Bam, 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 bam. So imagine as a client, you're like seeing the stack, you're getting retarget with your process or video or value or both. So of course, you're going to have so much more, like you'll be so much more likely to now close the sale because you're so top of mind and you've used multiple angles. So you're moving them always through that process.
Gotcha. Yeah, this is going to work really well. Because you're right. There is nobody, even the big boys in this, they're not doing that.
No, they're not doing that because most people are still marketing like 2015, 2010, where it's just the one ad and they put all their hopes and dreams within this ad. And then they're like, man, it worked or it didn't work. That's it. It's like binary. And it's like, no, like people are not binary. People like, have so many different things that they need to overcome or trust or know or whatever throughout the whole thing. So if you, learn to play the long game, you'll win because you're the only one being very patient. And so what Scott does is he has one sequence for this, which is this one, but he has another sequence that goes out after 30 days and another sequence that goes out in 90 days and another sequence that goes out in 120. And then if after that they haven't bought, they just go into another one that just says like, just value. So, and in between this, value, just tutorials, cool things, stories, blah, blah. And then every now and then there's like another sequence that's like, okay, let me go back to the problems, go back to why it's wrong, go back to what I'm offering. Then another one in 90 days, and another one in 120 days, because it's weird. Sometimes people are just not ready to buy yet. People are sketched out. People don't trust anybody. So
for sure.
You need to build that, especially because they haven't seen you in person. Some people are not comfortable swiping their credit card yet. So when you play the long game and you're tackling on both angles, on Facebook and on email, and maybe if you have a third angle like a third platform like your Facebook group or Instagram or YouTube or whatever, that can be done later. But the more angles the more pieces of content at a time, but always with the same process that you're moving them to that sale. Always, always, always.
Okay, that's really, really, really helpful.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I think you're gonna destroy it. You just gotta, once you put this in play.
Yeah. I just want to hone in on one last thing, which is just the process to make sure that I get it, because I'm still a little bit because I want like just like a concrete like in my product's terms. So okay, so the Dr. Duino way of coding, or the Dr. Duino way of creating product, right? It would be that, and then I would show them in my video, like, here's normally what it looks like to wire up an LED, and then here's my way. Just pop it on and and load your code. Is that the process? Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah, exactly. The step by step, because at all times you have like, what I showed you on that other sheet. That's like from essentially how like humans are wired, right? Like from pain. Well, that's horrible letter. From pain.
Yeah, I got you.
To pleasure. Right. So if you're telling me that the pleasure of them is, like creating, like being like their own masters, they know exactly what they're going to get, the feeling of happiness, and like just really nailing down on what that desire is, then you can really move them into that piece. And the transition from here to here, it's your process. It might be step 1, step 2, step 3. So you get them from this horrible and confusing and like shitty experience to like paradise, redemption, the elixir. But it doesn't come so easy. It's not just like a one little jump, That's why the movies do so well, because it's like, oh man, like we see some progress, like there's some really cool stuff, and then there's like, oh, but there's like another problem that you got to deal with, and then there's like another, and the movie is doing this at all times to keep like the user entertained.
So what if I did a video which is kind of like, hey, do you want to build stuff like, and then maybe I put Goonie Box or a drone, whatever else. You want to learn to be able to do stuff like this. Well, then you need to start here. But there's a problem. Breadboard, insert breadboard villain.
Yes.
And then here's the better way to start.
Yeah, exactly. And always highlighting that, like, hey, you want to build this like awesome stuff? Great. Well, you need a specific process. You need this blank process,
That's my process.
And that's your process. Exactly. That's the Dr. Duino process. And it's like, hey guys, like if you ever try to do it, any other way, no wonder why you're failing, because you're not using my process. You're not using that process. It's like, man, like this has taken me pain, suffering, years, blood, sweat, and tears to develop this. And I'm like shortcutting you guys, like literally like my 10 years or 5 years of like pain, you guys can get it in like 20 seconds now, or like, 20 minutes. Like,
yeah, for sure. That's literally,
like I'm exactly. And you want to just make sure that people are like crystal clear on that. They're like, oh, no wonder why I failed in the past. It's because I didn't have the Duino process. No wonder why this guy is able to build this awesome thing. It's like he obviously knows something I don't. So yeah, I believe it's probably his process that I need to implement. That's why I'm failing. And as soon as they get that belief, then they'll have no other way, because this is the only way to get to the other side of the mountain, or the redemption. Like there's no other way if you don't do it with your specific process. So as soon as people understand, they're like, oh, that's why, because I've never done it with this process. That's why I'm failing. And as soon as they got that belief, then they'll have no other option but to give you money.
I like that option.
Yeah, literally, I call it the one thing, So it's like, if I can make them believe that, the only way to build a successful masterpiece is, through the Arduino, and the only way to do the Arduino is with my process, then they have no option but to give you money. That's like your one thing. As soon as they believe that, there's no, like, that's it. Everything else becomes irrelevant. It's like your big domino. You have like a big domino here, that knocks all these little other dominoes, all these other objections are here. But if as soon as they believe in that process and that it is the only way, it'll knock all of it at once, and they have no other option. They'll just, that's it. There's no other way. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely, and then honestly, like, it doesn't matter who the competition is.
Exactly. Then it doesn't matter who the competition is. That's why having this process, which I knew was one of the things that we would have to kind of go through, and this might take like, maybe on the next call to review, because if you nail this right, then positioning is everything. If you're positioned as like, hey, like only I got this solution, then exactly, it doesn't matter who comes around. They'll believe that your process is the process. Everything else is just competition or wannabes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know what to do.
Awesome. Yeah, this is
Awesome.
cool. Perfect, man. Yeah, I wanna see this built up, and yeah, love to see what you come up with.
Awesome. Okay. Next week is our last week for this month, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like to continue working together.
Awesome.
Okay, good. So, and I think we said, it would start at 800.
Mm-hmm.
So it is, and I'm totally willing to, I think 1,000 is definitely within my reach, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's do that.
Okay. So the next week. Wait, so then when do I pay you?
Yeah, so it would be like, I guess, after the end of the next call.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And actually, this next Saturday, maybe we can move it to another day, whether Friday, or we can even do it earlier, maybe in the week. I don't know, because on Friday my wife scheduled for me a skydive session
awesome.
for my birthday. So I'm actually gonna go jump, and it's like I gotta drive out of the city and whatnot. So I won't be ready for I won't be here for 12. But maybe we can figure out another day.
Fridays are really good for me because I'm manning the chair and it's pretty light.
Perfect. Friday, I'm wide open.
Okay, awesome. So we'll figure out a time during even if you want to do it over lunch again, or whatever time, I can work it.
Yeah, cool. Sounds good. Yeah, so I think you have enough to work with. You have a couple things to try for your duplicating those ad sets, and yeah, and then from there we'll see what's next.
Okay, awesome.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Take care, brother.
All right, take care. Bye.